This is Lee Dort, and I'm down to dunk. This is Lee Dort, and I'm down to Dort.
I'm Josh Giddey, and I'm down to dunk.
Hey, this is Kenny Hustle, and I'm down to dunk.
I'm Darius Baisley, and I'm down to dunk.
I'm Mike Muscala, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Poku, and I'm down to dunk.
I love cereal. Captain Crunch, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Cracklin' Oat Bran.
Oh, I can have these. I'm going to share with my team, but I'm going to hog most of them.
Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. If you're not subscribed to The Athletic, go to theathletic.com/down to dunk and get The Athletic for $1 a month for 6 months. It's basically for free, and you get to read all of Sam Vecini's stuff. You can listen to this podcast ad-free. So if you don't like the ads, you have the option to listen ad-free. So go do that today. That's theathletic.com/down to dunk. With me, as always, on Mondays is my good friend, Michele Barra. Michele, what's up?
Well, and you get all the coverage of other sports as well, which is, I mean, for Europeans to watch and to know about NFL or other sports, it's not so easy. With The Athletic, you actually can. And even if you don't like the sport, if you're not an NFL fan or baseball fan or whatever, I am reading a lot of analytical stuff, even for other sports. And even if you don't understand anything like about the 2-3 technique of defensive tackles or stuff like that, you can read through the process of how like other analytics communities watch their games and how they go at their things. For example, I know that we discussed this in the past, maybe even on last week's show, I don't remember, about the draft and how the NFL analysts are like discussing the draft, like how much they put into positional values, how much it's important for them to like pick for a certain position as a certain value period. That and something like that. I mean, it's so like it opens your mind and makes you think about the draft in different ways.
Yep.
So subscribe and read through a lot of nerd stuff because those are insanely awesome.
Yeah, positional value is a real thing. I mean, having a guy that can create, and we're watching in the playoffs right now, just the value of creators. And you look at as simple as something like the Warriors selecting Jordan Poole late in that 2019 draft and what he had. And to be clear, there are a lot of guys that get taken in those slots that have what he has. But the reason people keep doing it is because of guys like Jordan Poole. Because if you can create off the dribble and you can hit threes and you can hold up defensively at least a little bit, the value is tremendous. That's why the Thunder took Trey Mann.
Yeah.
You know? Because if Trey Mann can be anything like Jordan Poole, and like look back at Poole, he couldn't play. They sent him to the G League because he was so bad in a season where they just needed bodies. So, like,
or hey, Andrew, maybe they were pulling levers and we didn't know at the time.
They pulled a lot of levers that year and took the exact wrong guy that number. Just amazing stuff. So, but go check out The Athletic. Couple of announcements. May 17th. It's a week from tomorrow, believe it or not, is the NBA draft lottery. And we are having a lottery party at the Jones Assembly downtown in Oklahoma City. Be there. It's from 6 to 9 p.m. Show up early, get some food, hang out. It's going to be so much fun. Again, you don't want to be watching the lottery at home alone or at home with people that can't match your energy. Please join us. It's going to be a room full of people that can totally match your energy, whether it's good, bad, whatever, indifferent. Who cares? You want to be there. And it's going to be wonderful. And then we have partnered with
Or dreadful, but at least you will have good food and good beers.
Yeah, exactly. And one of those good beers will be on tap that night, and will be. I think we'll
Wow.
have cans there that night too. It's called the Dream Scenario. We partner with Lively Beer Works, and it's great. You should come and have one, and we'll see what happens. But you can buy that at liquor stores this week, I believe. You can also buy it from Lively. They have a place where you can buy it downtown. You can get it on tap down there too. So be sure to check that out. McKelly, we're going to do a 2019 redraft today. But before we do that, it's before the lottery. We have 4 more Tankathon spins before we get to the lottery. And then we will do no more spins. We will only talk about who they will take at X spot. So we're going to do a spin today to see what happens. So I'm going to close my eyes. We're going to hit lottery. We're going to sim the lottery and see what happens. Here we go. And again, this spin was a good one. Number 1.
It's a terrible one. We're wasting so many good opportunities.
For my expectations, it's like it's good for today. Like it feels good, but it's bad for expectations. Okay, so you're Sam Presti. Well, let's say Sam Presti flies to Italy on the day of the draft, and he knocks on your door. He says, "Michele, I listen to the Monday podcast exclusively. I don't listen to those other dum-dums. I actually even mute Andrew because I just want to hear you. And I want to know. I want to know who you think I should take number 1. I can't decide. The 3 bigs are all so good. I've seen them all play. I feel comfortable with any of the 3. Michele, who do I need to take at number 1? Help me."
I mean, I would probably go Chet.
Yeah.
I'm circling through this a lot of times in my head. There are reasons for taking like any of the top 3 guys at number 1.
I could sit here and make the case for all 3. I feel like very easily I could make the case for all 3.
But I was talking to my good friend Lorenzo, and he told me, I mean, you're right of being scared from Chet. I mean, that body is really scary.
Yeah.
You should know better than me, he told me, referring to Pokuševski. But if that guy puts a little bit on, which is something that you can trust an NBA team to do. I mean, if you look at how Embiid came into the league and how he is right now, he's basically, I mean, he's double the size that he was. And I was afraid for his knee, for his back. And no, it seems completely fine. If that player can put a little bit of weight on, he will be a super duper star. I have no doubts, because he is so good defensively. He has so good timing. He knows how to slide his feet, how to be a weak side rim protector. And on offense, he plays extremely well and extremely in a flow. He's not the guy that will like just go into his own and do stuff outside of the rhythm of the game. And that to me is extremely important. Probably offensively, he's not the guy who with the highest upside. The highest upside is Paolo with a shot, or Pat Mahomes, depending on who is interviewing him.
Amazing. Oh my gosh, that was so great. If you haven't seen it, you can go look at Paulo Banchero's Twitter account. He retweeted this video of him being interviewed by this guy who thought he was Pat Mahomes, and then didn't know who he was, and then asked him who he was, and then basically acted like he was some random teenager he was interviewing. And it was amazing.
And Paulo was totally cool about it.
It's amazing. It made me love Paulo even more.
Yeah.
I can easily talk myself into Paulo though.
Me too.
I've heard that there are GMs that will not touch Chet Holmgren. Like there are NBA general managers that hate Chet Holmgren and if they drew number 1, they would for sure not select him. And there are GMs that love Jabari Smith and love Paulo Banchero. So this is going to be so interesting. Whether or not the Thunder get number 1, it's going to be so interesting to see who lands there, because it is going to be like an eye of the beholder situation with what happens in this draft, because those 3 are so different that you just don't know what teams are going to prefer. I don't think Jaden Ivey has a realistic chance of jumping in there.
If OKC is at number 1, I see it as very, 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 very unlikely.
Oh, there's no way. Even if, I mean, if the Rockets are there, no. I mean, I guess like the only situation I could see, like maybe Orlando really likes him. But yeah, I just don't see him. I think it's one of those 3. But it's going to be, we just don't know. This is not Cade Cunningham, where it was like, yeah, whoever wins the lottery is going to get Cade Cunningham, or
Yeah.
Anthony Davis or Zion or whoever. This is a who do you like? What do you need? Because I mean, like the Thunder need scoring badly, and they need like another go-to scorer. And if you like, you could easily argue that Paul Banchero is that guy.
Yeah.
Like he's a monster, and he's a great passer. And
OKC needs a scorer because you don't believe in microwave Trey Man off the bench scoring 25 per game. That is because you have no faith in him.
That's right.
Okay.
Bingo. Not 25. No, I do not believe that. But I mean, if you're scared of the size of Chet, Paul Banchero weighs like 60 pounds more than Chet. So
that's insane.
Jabari, if you're like, we want the longest runway for a prospect that can shoot, Jabari is a year younger than Chet. I think Chet just turned 20 actually. So like Jabari's still 18.
Yeah.
So the runway there for these guys, like the Jabari runway is a longer runway. The Shaden Sharp runway is longer. AJ Griffin longer. Chet though has a skill set that is weird, and it's interesting, and it's you look at some of the guys that are leading the way right now. I mean, the weirdo of the last 2 years, Nikola Jokic, won the MVP twice, and he is the weirdest player in the NBA. He's the most unusual player, and he has the opposite weight problem that Chet has, but still there's a point in not going conventional, when it comes to the draft. So I'm so intrigued. I am so intrigued. If I were to if this scenario happens where the Thunder get number 1, I would heavily favor Chet Holmgren to be the number 1. Heavily.
But it's not that a guy like Paolo Banchero doesn't fit OKC. This is something that I wouldn't.
All 3 of them do. All 3 of them. There's not one that says that I would look at and say they don't fit. They are.
No, you're right.
All be fine. They would all be great. That's why, like, landing in the top 3, doesn't matter where you should be throwing a party.
Yeah,
if you land just in the top 3, because you can make the case that, like I said, Chet, Jabari, or Paolo should be the first pick. Like, should be the first pick. And depending on the day, I'll pick one of those 3.
Yeah, Paolo's passing is something that will gel immediately with OKC, even better than Chet's, and the size, the fact that he's a 6'10", like giant, in terms of body weight.
Yeah,
and he's not like fat by any means. He's just heavy, and you don't notice him being heavy. I mean, if you look at AJ Griffin, you look him and you say, yeah, it's a bit heavy, even if he doesn't have an ounce of fat. And Paolo carries his weight in a perfect way. The point is, I mean, you can see the shot, you can see Jabari's, you can see Chet's, and you trust those more than Paolo. But if that comes to fruition,
points out that Paulo is the worst fit defensively.
Yeah, because the other two, well, Jabari is a good defender, even very good one. But I see Paulo being someone who has the same flashes as Jabari. I mean, you can see him being when he's focused on his guy, he's very good. He's a guy that falls asleep. Yes. I mean,
This is
if
where
you
the Thunder incubator is important, and this is where
exactly.
This is where Mark Daigneault, if he can put him on the Trey Mann plan, and maybe you can't. It is extremely possible that Paulo Banchero star power is too big to fit the Trey Mann plan, and it probably is. However, if you can hold him to a standard of playing defense, and if he can be taught, like all three of their upsides is insane. Paulo's is absolutely insane. And then when you talk about like the creation ability, the passing, I mean, it's all there for me. And they all three have flaws. Like none of them are perfect prospects.
Yeah.
But I still say I would stick with Chet Holmgren because he has the highest ceiling. He's got the shoot, pass, dribble stuff. He's got the defense. Positionally, he'll be a center, and I think that they've got. I think that he makes them the most versatile team possible. So, yeah. Anybody at 12 that sticks out to you yet, or are you not quite there yet?
Well, I've watched a bunch of guys that can slide to 12. Not realistically. I mean, there are mocks with AJ Griffin like creeping into the 10, 11-ish range. I think I would draft him at 6. So, Mathurin is another guy that we already discussed. I think that he will be gone by 10, more than Griffin. Johnny Davis is a guy that I just finished my deep dive on. I don't particularly like him. I would not for Griffin. If he's at number 10, I would probably draft use another asset to grab him.
Mm-hmm.
With Johnny Davis, I wouldn't as of today.
But what if Johnny Davis falls?
Yeah, I would grab him for now. To me, it's not the ideal prospect for OKC. He's a guy who takes a little bit like Jabari. He takes way too many jumpers. Mm-hmm. And Jabari has the efficiency to do so. Johnny Davis doesn't. But I'm worried. That is the thing that worries me about Jabari is the fact that, hey, I'm shooting this thing almost every time. Mm-hmm. And if I have someone open right there, like 4 feet from me, that's not going to matter.
Yeah.
And these kind of things to me I don't know how much you can work with that. And that's why, I mean, yes, I see the concerns with Paulo's defense. I see the concerns with with the defense in general, but at least he showed me, hey, I can have like a half of great defense. And I don't know, passing is something that is a little bit harder to teach, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no doubt that it's unlikely that you develop into a great passer. You can develop into a shooter. You can develop your defense. Those things are more able to develop than passing. But,
Tatum did that to a degree.
Tatum developed everything, if we're being honest, because the player that he was at Duke is not even close to the player he is today.
Yeah. But the ability to not being a ball stopper and being a guy that keeps the flow going, that is something that either you learn quickly or it's hard. And Tatum, credit to him, did it. But to bank on other players to do that, it's I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's foolish. Frankly, it's foolish to bank on stuff like that happening. All right, we are going to take a quick break. After that break, we are going to do a 2019 redraft. We'll be right back. And we're back from that quick break. Michele, we're going to do a 2019 redraft. I think I got the first pick in our last redraft, so I'm going to give you the number one pick, and there's a right and wrong answer here for this number one pick in the 2019 class. Who you got number one?
It's Ja Morant. I don't think that is really a question anymore. I think that probably 100% Zion Williamson is still someone who can change the future of a franchise. But hey, you have to make a bet on like a healthy version of Zion exists. And B, Ja is changing a franchise as well. And he's doing it in a spectacular way.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I would make probably the same pick last year already. So
can you imagine having John BI? That would be awesome.
That would be quite awesome.
Yeah. Sorry, Pelicans fans. Okay, number 2. The Memphis Grizzlies don't get their guy in Ja Morant. I'm going to give them Darius Garland instead. Because I think you have to be a little bit risk averse when it comes to Zion Williamson. Not for too much longer. But Darius Garland has been awesome for the Cavs. Like a great shot maker, a guy who can create off the dribble, he can shoot it, can pass. He's an outstanding prospect. So number 2, I'm going to go Darius Garland.
Now it's my turn, and like the Sixers did with Embiid, even if you have so many concerns about the risks, stuff like that, there is just no way that you can pass Zion at 3. Just no way. Even if he doesn't play a game.
There's nobody left that you feel great about, that you're like, that you can bank on to lead your franchise.
Yeah, he's probably going to play less than 100 games in his entire career. I think that I would bet the under.
Wow. And his entire career.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. That to me is
it's
the likeliest thing. But even the 30% chance that he plays more, that he comes back and plays like he did a couple of years ago, like 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I have like a little chance for that to happen, I will probably take it.
Yeah. If you're the Knicks, just do it. Just do it. I mean, you've RJ Barrett's not raised your ceiling that much, so you better bring somebody in there that can, and they would screw it up anyways. Number 4. I think it's pretty clear that RJ Barrett's the 4th best player in this class. I don't particularly love him with the Hawks, but I'll take him anyways. Outside of Trae Young, they could use another shot creator, a guy that can get to the free throw line, a guy that can play a little bit of defense. And part of my hope is that in a better situation, he develops a little bit faster. And the Knicks have not been that situation, in my opinion. So I'll take RJ Barrett. I'm still a fan. I still think a wing that size that can dribble and score and do all the things that he does is hard to come by. So I'll go RJ.
Yeah.
This draft, by the way, like low-key, not good.
The top, right. I agree with you. But there are tons of players that are still, maybe he has something to show in the NBA.
Yeah. There's some decent players, but you get to fringe starter bench player pretty fast.
Yeah, but all in the same level, and still young players.
Yeah, it is hard to after these first 4 for me. It's hard. Like you could argue that somebody should be, 5th or 10th.
Oh no, I have a pretty clear number 5 guy.
Okay, who you got?
I want Tyler Hero. I would have probably picked
Hero. Okay.
Oh yeah. Yes, I was extremely high on him during the draft process. I think that he had not a great moment last year in his career, and he is quite good.
Yeah.
He is not a borderline all-star, but I don't. If you tell me today, hey, he'll have a Zach LaVine type of explosion as soon as he has more possessions, I would not bet against it, because that guy wants it. That guy knows how to score the basket. He's probably unplayable in high stakes game in terms of defense, but there are like he. I think I had him fourth on my board, and I really like him. I think that he can have like next year an amazing season. And say, oh wow,
Yeah. Defensively, there's a lot of issues with Hero. He's really good. He is, as a creator, a little limited at times too, and we're seeing that in this current Sixers series. Is that he can't carry your offense. Like, he's a great number 3. He's like a great third guy for you. But like, if he's like Jimmy was awesome actually in Philly. He was incredible. Hero struggled, and Hero's still a young player. He still has a ways to go with his development. Yeah, I can see that. I just wonder if we saw RJ Barrett with Miami, what that would look like. I think franchise and situation, when it comes to almost everybody else that we're going to talk about today, matters so much. Who's your coach? What kind of standard did they hold you to? Almost everybody else that we're going to talk about, almost all of them are in like pretty good situations, when it comes to the team that they play for. And there's a reason for that, And the next guy that I'll choose at 6 is Jordan Poole, who's in an incredible situation, like the perfect situation, and is a creator off the dribble. I mean, he's basically been doing a Steph Curry impression all playoffs, and for really the second half of the season, really since January, he's been incredible for them. And it is tough to find that kind of player, and there's not another player like this in this particular draft that can create like this off the bounce, shoot threes, do everything that he did. And credit to the Warriors for sticking with him and developing him. He went 28th in this draft. I mean, guys like Kabengele, who we liked, before the draft, went before him. Dylan Windler went before him. Nasir Little, Ty Jerome went 4 spots before him. Darius Baisley, Grant Williams, who I like Grant Williams, but still, you'd rather have Jordan Poole. All those guys went before him. And credit to the Warriors for having a vision for him. He didn't have a great year at Michigan before they drafted him. He had a horrible start to his career, to where you thought, are they just going to waive him? And he's emerged, and it's been a really cool storyline. I don't love it that it's for the Warriors, but it has been a cool storyline for for him, individually.
Yeah, and Jared Kohler.
Holy smokes.
That was number 6. That is probably not going to make the first 45th picks in this particular draft.
And also you have to wonder about situation for him. Like, what was the opportunity like for Jared Culver when he came into the NBA? Was he put in the right spot?
Bad team. It was not like a team.
Was he given the right tools? I mean, to me, it's all situation from here. Like, horrible situation for Culver. Horrible. And some of these guys trick you too. Some of these guys trick you. If you are somebody that loves, there's a few players in this draft. Shaden Sharp is one of them. I think Matherin's another one. Where if you love those guys, and this is somebody that I don't think we'll pick in this draft, like Cam Reddish. Like, you got to look back at Cam and be a little worried about taking those kind of guys because what Cam Reddish has, like, Cam has pedigree. Like, he came in, and when you ask like a lot of pros who you thought would be the best player in this draft, like some of them said Cam Reddish because of what he did prior to come to the NBA and prior to coming to Duke, is that they saw this guy, and the Knicks traded for him and he didn't play. And the Hawks like have admitted that we let him go so that we could take a step forward. Yeah. I mean, there are issues, with taking guys like that at times. And if you wonder on draft night, like, why didn't the Thunder take this guy? Why didn't they take that guy? Or even during the season, it was like, why didn't the Thunder trade for Cam Reddish?
I asked that question many times. I was convinced that
we have discussions of that on this show, on the Dream Team show. I don't know. I'm not saying like in hindsight, like, oh man, I was so right, but there was something up with him.
Yeah.
When teams weren't lining up to get him, and the threshold that it took to get him was so low, and the Hawks, who had a tremendous investment in him, because the Luka Doncic trade was Trae Young and him.
Yeah.
And you want it to work out with all the passion you have as an NBA team builder. And when you are okay with letting him go for very, very little, you have to be like, oh, okay.
Oh, when that trade went down, it was like, I had no doubts. Like, whoa.
Yeah.
If that happens, then you really start to say, hey, maybe it's on him and not on the team.
And if like the Thunder or the Rockets or the Magic or somebody like that doesn't step up to pay, or even the Pelicans who have a ton of picks.
Yeah.
And all of those teams who have the assets, who have young cores, who aren't trying to win, who are not trying to win this year outside of the Pelicans, but the Pelicans just have the assets. When none of them step up and say, hey, yes, we will take him because you have screwed it up. Like, there are problems. And so I just, that's where like the Shaedon Sharpe stuff, I just wonder a little bit, because if Cam Reddish didn't play a minute at Duke and declared for the draft, it would be a very, very similar story where it's like, hey.
Oh, he probably goes number 4. He didn't have a good year at Duke.
No, he didn't. Yeah, and he went 10th. Yeah, he may have gone to the Cavs. He may have gone to the Hawks at their 4th spot, because the Hawks had the 4th and the 10th spot.
Yep.
The Hawks, the Thunder are very comparable to what the Hawks were in this draft, in this upcoming draft, in that they had 4 and 10. And there were guys around Cam that would have worked. Like if they took Cam Johnson instead, like, whew.
And we killed Phoenix for that.
Oh, on draft night, we're like, wow, great job, Hawks. What a draft. And if they would have taken Cam Johnson or Hero or PJ Washington, things are looking a little bit better.
Yeah. Back to the draft. We are
number
7. I have 2 guys in the same tier. I'm keeping, I keep flip-flopping. But I will stick with I don't know. No, I'm not sticking with the pick that I have in front of me. I will probably go with Keldon Johnson right now.
Yeah, I like Keldon. I have him at 9 on mine.
Yeah, the other guy, I was torn between is him or Cam Johnson. I just think that he's still 3 years younger, and so maybe in 3 years we'll prefer Keldon a little bit more.
Yeah, and that would be the Bulls at 7, who took Kobe White. Keldon would be great for them.
Yeah.
They could use a 4 that can score and play defense, and
3.5.
Shot it well from 3 this year.
Mm-hmm.
Keldon's been awesome. He's been awesome for them. Number 8, which was the Pelicans, they took Jackson Hayes at number 8. Not so good. I'll take Cam Johnson here.
Yeah.
Great shooter, willing defender, good in spots as a defender, great in a team concept, good character. there's a lot to say about Cam. He was older when he was drafted, but he's been great. Yeah, he's 23. Yeah, he's quite a bit older than everybody. I think he was the oldest player drafted in the first round that year.
Oh,
yes. Yeah, by far he was. But he's been awesome. I mean, you can't understate the production that he's had with Phoenix, and also the situation in Phoenix has been outstanding for him, especially since Chris Paul arrived.
And he was part of making it good. He was one of the first moves of the new regime, like moving away from certain players, getting other ones, getting players that were okay playing a role, being a little bit more mature maybe. And hey, I crucified them, like, wow, like you picked Cam Johnson at 12, straight back, take an asset. I said, no, that's fine. He'll be good enough for us.
Yeah.
And I mean, they were right. Now, this is a very, very difficult pick to make.
Yeah. Number 9, this is the Wizards. They took Rui Hachimura, number 9.
Rui is not high enough on my board.
No.
I think I will pick him in the lottery, but very late, probably the last spot in the lottery. Point is, the only player that I have left with real upside that can move the Wizards timeline a little bit, or at least could have, is Kevin Porter Jr., but I don't really like him.
Oh, no. Woof.
I know. I have him 15 on my board. Come on. Come
Yeah,
down. The other players that I have.
19th.
Oh, no. I think that he has still like a not decent, but at least, I mean.
The character stuff with him. If you were the
Cleveland
Cavaliers and you just actively say, please get him out of here. Yeah. I don't want any part of it. Not in the lottery.
Yeah, I know. But do you agree that he's the only one with, hey, if everything goes right and he puts his head a little bit, okay, he has the upside of being some sort of
a
little bit more than a role player?
No.
Okay.
I'm out. I'm out. Like I'm completely out. Yeah, completely out. Like, I don't want to
take DeAndre Hunter here.
I don't know if he'll play a game of consequence. DeAndre Hunter can play in a game of consequence.
I know, but it doesn't make any sense. He's a player that for the Wizards, yeah, okay, you can pick him.
There's nobody else moving the needle from here.
Exactly.
From here on, it's just like players that will fit in and be productive and be helpful.
Yeah. That's boring though. The Wizards don't need that.
With Beal, like Hunter would be great with Beal because they need somebody to defense, clean up, hit threes. Yeah. They don't have any guy like that.
They don't have anything that moves anything for me. Like they are hard. They are similar to the Pacers now. Like, okay, give them another good player. Okay, they will have the same record.
If Keldon would have lasted, I would have taken him. He would be nice.
Sure.
Are you taking Hunter? Are you doing that?
It's the highest on my board.
APJ?
Yeah, I don't like the pick, but anyway.
Number 10 is the Hawks, and they can't take DeAndre Hunter, who's been good for them when he's been healthy, which is an issue. There's a few guys left on the board. I think my top 9 are all gone.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll go with Grant Williams.
Great. I have him 10th on my board as well.
Grant Williams, I really liked him in the draft process. Mm-hmm. He was one of like my guys in the draft process. He wasn't this player that he is now when he was in college at Tennessee. He was kind of like a physical back to the basket, scoring like these little dump off situations, like a little like mid paint floater, rebound, gritty. And he just developed into like PJ Tucker plus, with the Celtics. And it's because he's in the right situation. You throw him on the Kings, you throw him in a lot of different situations. He's not going to be this. But the Celtics had a vision for him, and they developed him into the player they wanted him to be. And if you're the Thunder, you look at that situation and you're like, dear God, please help this to happen to JRE. Like this is the mold. This is what you want. Strong, physical, can shoot from the corner, is going to make plays, can guard multiple positions, and above all is just like strong as an ox. Like that's what you want out of this kind of player. And Jeremiah is, they're not incredibly different from what they were in college. So I would take Grant Williams there. I think Grant would be awesome with the Hawks in this mold. Does he become this player if he plays for the Hawks? Maybe, because I do think the Hawks situation is a good one. And I do think that they value shooting threes. So maybe he does become this, and Trae Young would be a great point guard for him to play off of. But we're still talking a fifth starter, a fourth starter at best. And we're still in the lottery. So that tells you about this draft quite a bit.
Next, the Phoenix Suns. I don't like non-shooters.
Yeah.
And I have number 11, number 12, number 13 on my board. All non-shooters.
Yeah.
And then I have Rui, and I don't like Rui there as well. So I'll go a little bit later on my board to grab Kobe White.
What about PJ? You're not a PJ guy?
No. I really don't like the idea of putting a guy that is not mobile enough alongside.
He's a positional tweener. He's Markieff Morris.
That's exactly the player I don't like.
Yeah.
There's already Crowder there, which works. Yeah. I don't think that Phoenix has the number one need in defense. They have already many players that can really defend well. They turned Cam Johnson into a serviceable guy there. He was horrible defensively at North Carolina. Kobe White, I don't like him in many spots. I really like him in spots where you just have to take open threes.
He takes the campaign spot in the rotation. And is probably in upgrade. Like Kobe White's a good player.
Yeah.
And I think
he's shooting 38.5% from three. That is.
He's a nice player. And if he played for the Suns, people would be going nuts for him. Or if he played for the Warriors. Like he could be Jordan Poole. And we're taking Kobe White at 6 instead of at 12.
No, I think that with Phoenix you have an infrastructure in place. You don't need a guy like Tybal, who is a dog on defense. You do it by committee, and you just need to keep the flow of the offense going. And with Kobe White, you can replace like a little bit of what Campaign does, a little bit of Shamet. So it's
13,
12, 13. Who's 11th?
Wait. Oh, 11. I'm sorry. Where did I mess up? I messed up somewhere. Yeah, you're right. Let's see. Oh, that's where I messed up. Okay. 12 is where the Hornets are. They took PJ Washington, and you could take PJ Washington again. Like you could justify that if they're going back in time and need a defensive guard. Like you could argue Dort here for them. So if this is like a retroactive draft, you could also argue Terrence Mann here. He has a little bit more size. He's a little more bendable. I think that's what I'll do. I think I'll take Terrence Mann here at 12 for the Hornets. Player that understands the moment. He can take some pressure off of LaMelo. Like him. He's hit a bunch of threes in the playoffs. He's been more than serviceable. And just like I would take him over Dort just because of the length and athleticism. They're both questionable offensive players, Yeah.
Yeah, they are. Let's see. Now it's the Heat.
Yeah.
13. Guys that I have left on my board: Dort. I have Tybal, which I don't like over Dort as
I
of
kind
today.
of
I
don't
don't.
like Tybal anymore because I just don't know what he does offensively
Yeah.
that helps you at all.
Nothing. That's the point. He's a very
He
good defender,
develops
though.
nothing. There was a tweet yesterday. It was, oh gosh, who was it? Oh man, I don't remember. They said, they were talking about Dorian Finney-Smith, and they were like Dorian Finney-Smith spent his time developing a jumper, in his off seasons, and Matisse Tybal spent his time working on his Final Cut Pro skills, because he made those little documentaries
Yeah.
in the bubble. Like, oh my gosh, that's so true. Like, he just hasn't
Yeah.
developed really hardly at all.
No, and Dort developed a lot more offensively.
Yeah, Dort.
Still on and off.
He averaged 17 points per game. Like, there's no world, there's no team, no situation, no world where Matisse Tybal averages 17 points per game. Like, zero.
So, if there is a place where Lou can learn how to shoot threes, it's in
Oh
Miami.
man, put
And
Dort.
that's perfect.
Dort in Miami is horrifying.
Yeah.
He would be awesome for the Heat.
Yeah.
He'd be playing right now, and people would be in love with Lou Dort. He would be the Heat culture emblem out there, because he is that right now. Like, for the Thunder, like the way that he plays and the stuff that he's already done in his career. Yeah, that's a great spot for Lou Dort. 13. 14 is the Celtics. They took Romeo Langford, who did not make my top 21. Shoot, who's left that I like?
Brandon Clark.
I like Brandon Clark. I wondered if I got the Miami spot, I would have thought a little bit more about Rui, because I do think that he needs a situation that's good. And looking at what Grant Williams has done with them, like, I'm going to take Rui Hachimura there and just bet on the Celtics incubator to give him the right skills, because he started taking more threes this year for Washington.
Yeah.
And if he hits his potential, like, he's better than Grant Williams. You know?
Sure.
He's way more skilled offensively. He's got a lot to him. If he can learn to stop being a ball stopper and commit a little bit more to defense, hit open threes. Because, I mean, if you're with Washington, like, what are they doing? What's their direction? And they traded for the Zinger at the trade deadline. Like, they don't know what they're doing. And Rui Hachimura's got a ton of talent. I don't think that they're the team to unlock it. If he were to go on a team with a pecking order established, and the Celtics have done well with choosing a coach of the future, I think Rui might be kind of awesome with them. So, I'll take Rui.
Yeah. Let's take a look at the guys that we left off. Jackson Hayes, still a Utah upside. Good things, bad things. Still young.
Yeah.
No, not being like out. It can be like a 8th, 9th guy. Still a guy that sticks.
But a guy that you could go get. Like,
sure.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying guys that if they stay in the league for like 2 contracts, that's probably late first round, early second round kind of value. PJ Washington. I think that we mentioned him already.
Yeah.
Nikhil Alexander-Walker. We liked the first season more than the last one.
Why did the Jazz trade for him, by the way? What are they doing trading for him? Utah. Why?
No idea.
Made no sense.
No. And then
THT? Taylor Horton Tucker?
I mean, to me, if Darius Bazley was a Laker, you would have the same upside, if not more.
You mentioned KPJ. Max Strus is another one that I think that could have gone.
Yeah.
In the lottery. Daniel Gafford.
Gafford. I have Chuma Okiki on the mention just
He's
because I really loved him in the draft evaluation.
That's another one where if he was in Boston or if he was with the Heat, Okiki,
Yeah,
he could
maybe.
be an impact player. Nick Claxton
Yeah,
is also
I have
another
it on
one
my mention as well.
that we missed. Brandon Clark, you mentioned him at 14, where I took Rui.
Yeah.
But he's been impactful for the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
See,
there are many players. There are like 20, 25 players that you can still see, hey, I can see a future for them in the league. And it's not nothing.
The upside players that can be true impacts on your team. Because once you get into this range, like how hard is it to replace Daniel Gafford in your rotation? Like not that. I mean, if the Oklahoma City Thunder have ever gotten a player in their history that could take the place of Daniel Gafford, then that you don't really have a guy. Because the Thunder got Nerlens Noel in free agency.
Yeah.
And if the Oklahoma City Thunder can replace somebody in free agency with the impact that you make, then you don't have a ton of value.
No, you have 8th to 12th on a roster kind of value.
Yeah, there's that. That's the thing. And I mean, how many true bigs do we take in the lottery? John Morant, no. Darius Garland, no. Zion. He's not a true big though, because he can handle and he can attack.
No, he's truly big.
Random true big, but he is giant. RJ, no. Hero, no. Poole, no. Keldon, no. Cam, no. Hunter, no. Grant Williams, he's more, I mean, he's maybe the closest thing to it, though. But he's not, though. Kobe, White, Terrence Mann, Dort, Rui. You know how many we took? We took 0.
Yeah.
We took 0. Because the thing about Claxton and Gafford, like those are the guys that I had closest on this list of true bigs. Like Patadze, who went 18th in this draft, we didn't even think about him. Brandon Clark is a big, definitely, who you could have considered. But the thing is, like when you talked about it at the top, like positional scarcity, like positional value.
You need to be great.
It's a real thing. It's a real thing. And then when you look at this upcoming draft and who you like, don't just like them because they're bigs. Don't just like them because they're bigs. Because bigs that do what Claxton and Gafford do, you can go get them. You can find them. You can find guys that just block shots and rebound and play defense at the rim. Those are not, that's not an anomaly. And in fact, they're quite cheap to get. I mean, how much did the Hawks have to even give up for Clint Capella, who's like at the top tier of that?
Yeah, not much, and the contract was an okay one.
Yeah.
So
that's where in this draft where when you get to like 12 and you're like, oh, well, we just need a big man. We better take Mark Williams or Jalen Duren or Walker Kessler. It's like, whoa. Like, take a look again. Because there are guys in this draft that can fill roles, that can do things that aren't easy to find. Like if you can get like a Dyson Daniels or Johnny Davis or Malachi Branham or like Usman Jang or heck, even like a Baji, who I don't love because of his age and his defense, but he does something that is not easy to get. Like just to me, I want to think back at like, how did the Thunder fill out their team through free agency? If they were able to swing something in free agency, then I'm not willing to take that kind of person in the lottery.
No,
like,
it's an asset. It's
I can't get. Give me something in the lottery that I can't get, and then
exactly.
And that's to me is what I'm looking at. And that's where I think a lot of people love Tari Eason. Yeah, you're not getting a guy like Tari Eason. Okay, we got to go. Thanks so much for listening. We appreciate you guys subscribing. Be sure to join us on May 17th at the Jones Assembly for our lottery party. Should be very, very fun. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week, and we will talk to you guys again on Wednesday.